Yeah, let's see the ICP4. So the main objective of this ICP4 is to create an create a correlation between the dependent and independent variable, finding the correlation among them, and use the basic classification models, naive SVM and SVM, using the RBF, and finding out the which model has given the good accuracy. So let's see the correlation part. So this ICP4, the first one is to find out the correlation between the two variables. One is sex and the survived, and sex is being one of the independent variable, and survived as the dependent variable. So here what we did was, I've just used group by and group getting the basic columns and forming an group by with the sex, and I've removed the index as I had to create a mean. So, and also sorted it by the survived, and I found that the female has the highest value among them, among the male and female and male. So female has high correlation. Also I verified it using an ANOVA. So ANOVA is an basically it finds out the significance between the highest mean between the categories in that column. So high, the more the f value and less the p value, it means that they are significant and it has some good difference between the mean of these categories. So it clearly says that f value, when I'm comparing the female and the male, f value is very high, that is around 3, and then the p value is less than 0.05. By this we can say that it's highly correlated. And the next one, we use an algorithm, machine learning algorithm, to the steps which I've used, basically importing the necessary libraries. So over here are Gaussians, Naviers, Pandas, and sklearn libraries for training and fitting it. And the first one, the next step would be over here is reading the data set and creating a data frame, and dividing the dependent and independent variables for training and testing. So I've splitted the data into train and test, that is 0.2 percentage, so around 20% for test and 80% for training. Once the data splitting is done, so I have instantiated in a classifier Gaussian neighbors. Once I have instantiated it, I have fitted with the training data. Once the data has been fit, so I have predicted using the unseen data, which is the test data over here. So at last, once the training and fit is done, I have verified the accuracy. So, and also I have displayed the classification report, which is nothing but an so this is the classification report, and we see that precision recall and support, which is a kind of confusion matrix. So I have, as it is in classification label, we have, there are 7 classifications in that. So it is not a binary classification problem, it is multi-class classification problem. So that's why we got 7, and it has 7 distinct classifiable in this in this dependent variable. So here it is, and the accuracy what I got with the naive Bayes is around 59% on the training data and 37% on the test data. So the same thing I have to use and implementing linear SVC. So here as well I have imported the necessary libraries, which are over here pandas, sklearn libraries, and also the same thing it applies, dividing the data into test and train, as well as the dependent and independent variables. Once the division of data is done, I would be instantiating the model, and I would be fitting the data, and once the data is fit, I would be testing it on the unobserved data, so unseen the data, which is the test data and which is used by a predict function. Once it is done, I would be calculating the accuracy for this model and also the confusion matrix for the same. So I see that the training set for this, it is around 43% and the test set it is around 49%. The last I have to implement using an SVC, kernel, RBF as the kernel. So here as well the same thing, it applies, importing the necessary libraries, so which are over here as learn and the pandas, and reading the data and converting as a data frame, and dividing the data, test and train, and factoring on the basis of dependent and independent variables. Once it is done, instantiating the model, fitting the data, and predicting on the test data. So here as well I have calculated the accuracy for this model, and also the confusion matrix. As said, it is not a binary classification problem at hand, it is multi-class classification problem where we have more than 2 classifications which are available. And I see that the training set, the accuracy is 74%, and the test set it is 58%. Out of 3, we can clearly say that the RBF kernel SVM has given much accuracy. Yeah, this is all about ICP4. Thank you.